Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Chris, and today I wanted to talk about options for your stack. I know it's tough times for a lot of people right now, and I was watching a different channel a few days back, and I saw that this particular stacker was looking at liquidating a portion of his stack. I think it was like 250 ounces of his silver, and you could tell by what he was saying that he didn't really want to, but that the opportunity to do something different with that money had come up, and it was just necessary. So I saw the video, and I actually noticed a lot of his stuff was pretty nice, so I let him know that I'd be interested in a particular item or a few if he did end up selling. It looked like he wanted to kind of take the next step as far as a business venture, or changing how he was doing his particular profession. And the thought occurred to me, these kind of things are going to come up, especially with stacking. The hard part is that a lot of us approach it as, if I have to liquidate, am I going to be able to get my stuff back? Not only for the price, but also because the supply of particular items is not what it was 2 years ago. So that being said, one thing I wanted to bring up is that I know it has a bad reputation, but you may want to keep your options open as far as things like pawning your silver. Now again, pawn shops, it's definitely going to be on the list of last resorts, but in an environment like this where you may not be able to get your particular items back. Let's say, for example, things like this, like the Engelhard bars, or let's say some of your slab stuff. The problem with these things is that even if you take these into a pawn shop, they're going to give you spot. So they don't care about any of the, they're not going to do the research on what it's actually worth. I mean, there is the potential that they could do that kind of thing, but I wouldn't expect it. Same thing with things like this, like these, like proofs, anything like that. No, they're not interested in that kind of stuff. They're interested in only whatever spot is. And even with that, they're going to give you, if you pawn it, they're going to give you a portion, probably up somewhere around 50% of whatever the value is. And depending on the shop, they may make excuses about why that is, like, oh, it's a huge risk, silver price moves around, blah, 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 whatever the case is. But that being said, there are things to keep in mind if you're going to pawn. First, if you keep the dollar amount low, I think the cutoff is somewhere around $2,000. If you do that, what it's going to do is keep the interest that you pay lower. Now you can go in and ask for a higher amount, and you can get, I'm sure you can get, $5,000-$10,000 if you have the right stuff, no problem. But the thing is that the lower the dollar amount that you get, and then, like I said, I believe there's a cutoff somewhere around 2,000, where the interest is much lower than if you go over that number. So if you do end up doing something like that, ask them, hey, what is there a cutoff, where the interest rate changes? Things like that. It's important because, again, no one wants to be in that situation and then drop the ball when you're actually going through it. It's a big deal, especially, like I said, this came to mind because in a situation like that this particular stacker was in, you don't want to have to learn these things the hard way, so you want to kind of think it out ahead of time, because your metals are an asset. They are definitely an asset, and with any asset, you want to know what the flexibility with that asset is. Just like if you own a house, can I borrow against the house? Can I refinance and pull cash out? You want to know these things on the front end so that if these situations come up, you're able to deal with them effectively. So another thing, if you decide to pawn, is that the longer that you hold it out, usually I think it's 4 months they give you to go get your stuff back. And they tell you, how much it would cost at the 4-month mark, whatever. But obviously, the sooner you get it back, the less you're going to pay. So that's something to keep in mind too. But it's good to know that you have the flexibility to take it out to, let's say, 4 months, which is a good long time, if you need to. Same thing, again, stackers are going to be like, no, why would you do that? But if there are opportunities elsewhere, for example, in cryptocurrency or other things that you think you can make more than that, then you want to give yourself the opportunity to do that if it makes sense. Again, I can see the eyes rolling right now. Why would you pawn something with who knows, 20% interest rate when where you're going to get that kind of return, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, you want to be able to know that you don't have to get rid of your silver if you don't need to, period. And that's literally it. I just want people to understand that you don't necessarily need to liquidate. Now, if you do liquidate, obviously you're going to get more. And the other thing too is that if you do liquidate and you're able to do it to private parties, you will definitely make more than if you go to the coin shop or whatever and try to liquidate your stack. I mean, they're there to make a profit, and it is what it is. But that being said, like I said, like, these are things that you want to know, because I think, in my opinion, this whole situation that we just went through, it's tough, because on the other side of it, where people are going to start feeling the pain is when, for example, the unemployment benefits get cut off, the stimulus is stopped, which I don't think, those things are going to stop anytime soon, because they know that, this whole thing's really screwed us. But it will come to an end someday, and when it does, that's when a lot of people are going to feel the pain. Even things like the stock market, if interest rates end up going up, which, surprisingly, even though there's inflation right now, I would tend to think it might still go in the other direction, either borderline negative or across the board zero, even though there's a range there. But again, that's not going to translate into the lending that you receive or anything like that. It's purely just in the banking system. But you want to know these ways to basically have liquidity with your assets without getting rid of them. Because if those tough times come, people are going to do whatever they have to do, like I talked about before. But you don't want to be in that situation and kind of just need to react. You want to, you want to be able to do what you need to do on the front end and understand what's going to happen. So I just wanted to mention that, because, like I said, like, this guy was selling or thinking of selling. I don't think he actually ended up doing it. Who knows if the situation changed and he didn't need to, which is quite possible. But if those things happen, like, once you get rid of, for example, like, let's say Engelhard bars or Johnson Matthey, whatever, you're not going to be able to get that back for what you paid for it, and maybe you made a profit on it. But the other thing too is, depends what the time frame is. If you don't have the time to sell to private parties, or the the know-how or the want to do that, you're gonna get less than what you really should for that kind of stuff, which is tough in this environment. Because if you're buying, no one's giving deals right now. No one's giving deals. And the supply, like I said, like the generics, this kind of thing, I mean, you can get your hands on it, but the price isn't right. These kind of things you're going to pay a premium for. And at the end of the day, like I said, if I go to sell it, you're pretty much going to get close to the same thing. Now, somebody may pay me a little bit more for these, but not much. So those kind of things, like I said, like, are very important to stake out on the front end, to understand. And like I said, the other thing too is that if you do end up pawning or doing something like that, don't be afraid to call different places. You don't have to, even if it's like, maybe you have to drive 20 minutes to go to a different one, whatever. Every dollar that you can squeeze out, or every dollar that you can save yourself on an interest payment, is huge. Because again, ideally the situation that you're in, that you would need to do something like that, resolves itself in a quick manner, but it's not guaranteed. So you want to just make sure that, if these kind of things happen, you're prepared on the front end. You understand that, it's not, no matter how bad it seems, there are options out there. Also, again, like, if you're on, social media, those kind of things, let people know that, hey, I'm selling this or that. You never know who's going to come out of the woodwork and want what you have. So again, just something that I saw. I know that we're all going through different things. So this is something that, is important to me, for people to understand that we all get that feeling that, there's no way out, or, I have to do what I have to do. That's true to an extent. You do have to do what you have to do, but it's really never as bad as the box that you put yourself in. So at least understand what your options are, so that you can make the best decision for yourself, and not just at the time, but also moving forward. Because once you make that decision to sell, like I said, like, good luck getting those things back. And if you do, you're going to pay way more than what you should. It's in my opinion, it's a lot better to hold on to what you have as long as you can, especially with precious metals, because all it takes is one event to just skyrocket the price. Although we know it's pretty much a managed market, but still, it only takes one event for that fear to creep in, and bam, prices go up. I'm actually surprised that with everything going on, you know, precious metals haven't reacted as much as I think they should have. But it's important. Again, stay ahead of the curve, know what your options are, and ask people, talk about it, research it. It's tough when those things happen, but if you need to do something like that, sell your stock, well, it is what it is. But at least give yourself the options on the front end. All right, that's it for today, and take care.